Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. I hope you're all having a great week so far. So today I'm going to be talking about these brand new BH Cosmetics Travel Collection palettes. This is part 2 actually of their series. They had released 3 of them back over, I believe it was the winter of this year, and I loved them. If you missed my video, I'll link that above. I thought those palettes were amazing. So I'm here to let you guys know if I think the same about these and whether or not these live up to the original ones. So first we're going to kind of compare these to the original ones and see if any shades are the same, and then I'll kind of dive into each palette separately. I'll show you swatches, a couple looks, and all that good stuff. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so first, just some quick information. These palettes are $16. They're available on BH Cosmetics website. They're not at Ulta yet, but the first series did end up at Ulta after a couple weeks, so I'm thinking these probably will end up there too at some point. So just like the last collection, this one has a face palette with 3 blushes and 3 highlighters. It's called Glowing in Grease. And then they also have 2 eyeshadow palettes, same as the last time. So the first one is called Summer in San Tropez, which is kind of just like a brighter, more fun, almost like a rainbow type palette. And then the second one is Beautiful in Barcelona, and this one has like really deep, dark, smoky shades. It looks like a really good like fall and winter kind of palette. So why don't we go ahead and just compare these to the originals, because I did definitely find some dupe shades or like almost dupe shades between them. And if you guys already have the originals, it might be helpful just to see these side by side. There are definitely a lot of very similar shades in here, but I feel like the Barcelona one is a little bit more colorful, while the Love in London is mainly neutral shades. But I think there are definitely a few repeats, so I'm going to show you swatches of 2 of them side by side. And in the swatches, I grouped all the shades that look really similar together, and then I just put the different ones down the other end. So as you can see, there are a lot of similarities, but mostly where the neutral shades are concerned. The Beautiful in Barcelona one definitely has, like I said, a little bit more color to it, so those colors are going to be the point of difference here. And then same thing with the Hangin' in Hawaii versus the Summer in San Tropez. I feel like the Hangin' in Hawaii is just a more neutral version of it. Again, there are some very similar shades in here, but Summer in San Tropez definitely has a lot more color to it. So again, I'll show you the swatches of the 2 side by side, and you'll see the similar colors all kind of grouped together, and then the ones that are different on the other side. So it just kind of seems like they took their old collection and added a little bit more color to it, but sort of kept the base idea of it the same. So I kind of found that pretty interesting. And then when it comes to the blush palettes, I actually like the new one a lot more than the original. I did like the original, but I felt like this pink blush was just a little bit too light. It almost didn't show up even on me, and I have really fair skin. And then the darkest shade was way too dark for me to use as well, so I really just stuck to this middle one. But the new one, I feel like all of these blushes are perfect. I love how this one's a little bit more neutral. This middle one is like a beautiful peachy shade, and then this one on the end, even though it's a little too deep for me, if I sheer it out, it still works. This one was just, I think, way too deep. I couldn't even really sheer it out because these are very pigmented as well. And then as far as the highlighters go, I think the only one that is similar is there's kind of like this golden shade in both palettes that looks really, really close, but otherwise they're very different. So here's the 2 face palettes swatched together, and like I said, there's really not a whole lot of similarity between these 2, and I do think I really prefer the newer one versus the older one. Alright, so now let's dive into the 2 eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each one, also show you some looks and talk about the formula a little bit. So let's start with Summer in San Tropez. So pros of this one, I would say, you know, it has really pretty bright summery colors. The metallic shimmers that are in here are super, super creamy and buttery and amazingly pigmented. You only have to tap them on your lid with a finger and they show up beautifully. I didn't find like I had to wet them or anything, and that's definitely true of the older ones too. Also, they have these 2 duochrome shades up here which are stunning. They're not as pigmented as those foiled metallic shades, but they're almost more like toppers. They're kind of a little sheer, so they look beautiful on their own, but you can also kind of put them on top of another shade just to give it a little bit of extra boost. And then the mattes in this palette are mostly very pigmented, easy to pick up. You do have to tap off your brush a little bit just to prevent fallout because they are a little bit on the powdery side. So then heading into the cons, there's really only one neutral transition shade in this whole palette, which is this one right here, Sand. I personally can use it as a transition because I have really fair skin, but anybody who's darker than me, it's really not going to show up that well or be a good shade for a transition. Other than that, the mid-tone shades that are in here, like Crepe or Villa, this pink one, or the yellow one here, any of these other shades, this blue one, are gonna be more colorful. So you're gonna have to be okay with using this for mostly colorful looks. There's not a lot of neutrals in here, whereas Hanging in Hawaii was mostly neutrals with a few pops of color. Also, the shade Cabana, I was a little bit disappointed in. In the pan, it looks like this really deep kind of berry shade, but on the lids, it hardly shows up. It's very, very sheer. It never really builds up to the color that's in the pan. So that's the one shade in this palette that I was really disappointed in, but the rest of them seem to build up perfectly fine, so I don't know why it was just that one. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is these two duochromes right here. They look different in the pan. This one looks really kind of greenish. It's called Exotic, and then this one, Coastline, looks blue, but when you swatch them together, they look almost identical. So I wish that there was a little bit more difference between them, because once they're on the eyes, it's kind of hard to tell the difference. So now I'll go ahead and show you a look that I did using Crepe, which is this mustardy yellow shade in my crease, and then I used this Cabana shade on the outer corner, and then Exotic, which is that really beautiful duochrome green, on my lid. And this is what it looked like, and I really, really love this look a lot. It was a little bit colorful, but not crazy or over the top. I felt like it was really easy to wear. And as you can see, that Cabana shade looks really light on my eyes, even though it looks dark in the pan. It almost looks like a light brown towards the outer corner of my eyes. So that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about with that shade. And just to give you a little bit of inspiration, these are some other shades that I think would pair really well together in this palette. So I'll just show you swatches of what they look like side by side up on the screen here. So the first one I think that would look really pretty is Crepe on the crease, which is that mustardy yellow again, and then Paradise, which is a gold on the lid. I think that would make a really gorgeous, gorgeous combo. You could also use this yellow right here in the crease with Exotic, that green duochrome topper on the lid. I feel like those pair together really nicely as well. Another one that I thought would be really pretty is Villa in the crease, and then Nightlife in the outer corner, and Beach Club on the lid. I think that would be like a really pretty kind of berry look. Or Sand in the crease, and then Nightlife again in the outer corner, and then Super Yacht on the lid, which is that really bright, vibrant purple metallic. That one's really beautiful as well. You could also pair the blues in the palette with Coastline, which is that really pretty duochrome blue in the corner there. Or these blues would also look gorgeous with that Paradise gold shade as well. And then if you wanted to do some more like neutral looks with this palette, you could always do Sand in the crease if you're, you know, a fair skin tone, and then Marina on your lid, which is this beautiful champagne shimmer, and then Cabana in the outer corner like I did for my look before. Or you could do Sand in the crease, and then this yellow Paradise shade on your lid, and then this deep blue shade Bay in the outer corner. I think that would be another really beautiful combo. So overall, this palette is nice, but probably my least favorite out of the entire collection, just because I don't wear bright shades very often. Not to mention, it's really similar to like Anastasia's Riviera or the Weekend Festival palette from BH Cosmetics. It has kind of similar shades to that, or even the Profusion Festival palette. So if you have any of those, you probably don't need this one, just because you're gonna find a lot of the same shades in those palettes. All right, and then moving on to Beautiful in Barcelona. This one is definitely more of a deeper kind of fall winter palette. I had no issues with pigmentation with any of the shades in here. I thought they were all incredibly pigmented, almost too much so. The first couple times I tried to use this palette, it was just overload, and I really had to learn to just kind of very lightly put my brush into the pan because I was grabbing way too much product. I think that's more an issue for me because I'm so fair-skinned and the colors just show up so dark on me. If you have a deeper skin tone, you may not have the same issue, but just for me, I have to really use a light hand with this, or else it's super easy to go overboard and make like a crazy looking smoky eye. Another thing I really love about this palette is the matte crease shades that are in here. You have a couple different ones to choose from that I think are really good because they're different tones. Like you have this cooler toned Stone, which is like a taupey gray up here. This one right here, which is called Carnation, is more of an orangey brown that looks beautiful in the crease. Also, this one, Dolce, is more of just like a neutral chocolate brown. So that's another awesome crease color as well. As far as deeper matte shades go, you only have this one right here, which is called Spain. So it's a little bit more of a reddish brown. And if it's not going with the look that you're creating, that's one downside, is that it's the only deep matte shade. So if you want like a deeper matte color for your outer corner, this is pretty much your only option right here. But you do have a matte ivory shade up here as well, so that's just another bonus if you like to use a matte ivory either to set your lid or just highlight your brow bone. But then when it comes to the cons of this palette, there are a couple things I wanted to mention quickly. There are two shades, Exquisite right here, and then Getaway, which is down here, which are both gold shades. This one is a little bit more of like a pinky gold or like a champagne, and this one is more of like a true gold. But the problem is on the eyes, they look almost the same. They're really, really close. And then also this one down here, Vacay. It's like this really deep kind of plummy shimmer. And Fiesta, they're almost the same again. They look so super close, especially like when you see them swatched together. It's like they're almost the same shade. So I don't like that they repeated those. Also, this deep blue shade Picasso, it's like a navy blue shimmer, and Mediterranean, which is just like a step lighter than that one. So again, they're like really close. And once you're blending them out on the eye, I feel like they do look incredibly similar. So I just feel like there's a little bit of repetition in this palette. The other shade that disappointed me a little bit is this flamenco shade right here. In the pan, it looks like a forest green shimmer. It looks so beautiful, but it's actually a black with like forest green glitter in it. So I was hoping to put this on my eye and kind of have it look green, but once you blend it out on your eye, it actually looks black with like a little green glitter. So it doesn't quite look like it does in the pan, but I have to say the formula on it is amazing. It's like the most blendable, silky, pigmented black ever. So I really do like that about it. It's just that I was a little disappointed that it didn't look exactly like it did in the pan. But I am actually wearing this palette on my eyes today, so I'm going to show you quickly how I got the look that I'm wearing today. So I started out with the shade Carnation, which is that really warm orangey brown, and I put that into my crease and blended that out. And again, the shade is really pigmented, so I just went in very lightly and built it up as opposed to going in heavy with it, because I made that mistake the first time and it's just way easier to apply this shade in lighter layers. And then on my lid, I applied the shade Familia, which is that really kind of beautiful peachy gold shimmer. It's really kind of a unique shade. I really like this one a lot. And I just took my finger and applied this to the inner corner of my eye and worked back toward the center of my lid. And then I also picked up the shade Treasure with my finger, which is that really deep bronze. And I applied that from the center of my lid over back to the outer corner, just to kind of give my eyes a little bit of gradient. And then I took a blending brush and just blended it into that Familia shade a little bit towards the inner corner, and then into the matte shade on my outer corner. So here's the finished look. I do like the way that it came out. It's very similar to a lot of the other looks I could get with warm tone palettes. Now in retrospect, I'm kind of thinking I should have done something a little more with some of the more unique colors in this palette, like maybe something more cool tone. But like I did with the other palette, I'll just go ahead and kind of group some shades together and just show you which ones I would pair with what. So the first pairing I'm going to show you is with the shade Stone in the crease, which is that really cool tone, taupey, almost purpley shade. And then using Enchanting on the lid, which is that really beautiful rose gold metallic. And then Spain, which is that deep burgundy shade in the outer corner. Or you could kind of switch it up, and instead of using Spain on the outer corner, you could use like this Fiesta shade on the outer lid and then Enchanting on the inner lid, kind of like the look that I did today. Or for a really neutral look, you could take this chocolatey brown shade Dolce and put that in the crease, and then use this golden shade Getaway on your lid. That's just like a really simple, easy to color neutral look. Or you could add this deep bronze shade Treasure to it and just put that all over the lid with either, you know, the Gateway shade popped in the center, or you could put Treasure again on the outer lid and then Getaway on the inner lid and just make it like a really beautiful kind of chocolatey brown smoky eye. Another thing you could do is pair this shade Azul in the crease and Picasso on the lid for like a really deep blue smoky eye. Or you could even pair Dolce with either one of these blues, because I feel like that brown goes so beautifully with the blues in this palette. So overall, I think that this is a nice palette if you prefer kind of deeper, smokier looks, and it's definitely my favorite of the two in this collection. But I have to say, I do still prefer the Hangin' in Hawaii and Love in London to either one of the palettes in this new collection. I just feel like they are a little bit more my speed and just more wearable for me. It's probably more due to my skin tone, because I feel like most of the shades in this palette are just a little bit too deep for me. I feel like almost every look that I create is going to be like more deep and smoky, and then the summer in San Tropez is just more bright overall, and I don't wear a lot of brights. So if you like more boring neutrals like me, I think you're just going to prefer the first two palettes, Hangin' in Hawaii and Love in London, to these newer ones. And then when it comes to the blush palettes, like I said, I do prefer the new blush palette actually to the old one. I think this one is definitely worth picking up if you love those like really warm peachy shades. I do unfortunately feel like the highlighters are a waste, at least for me, because I don't really wear highlighter anymore. I'll definitely use all three of these blushes, but I don't think I'll get a lot of use out of these unless I decide to use them on my eyes, and that is actually one option. I think you could probably take this with you like on a trip and use it on your eyes as well. You could use any of these matte blushes as a crease color and then just pop one of these on the lid. I mean, you'd be pretty limited in your looks, but I suppose if you were just maybe like going away for a weekend or something and you wanted to do some like warmer peachier looks on your eyes, you could definitely use this for that as well. So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the new BH Cosmetics travel palettes. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of them? Are you planning on getting them? Have you purchased them already? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well so that you'll be notified of future videos. Thank you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.